Because of the following special program, Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
Like a panther.
It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file.
That doesn't sound too hard.
Boom! This is Making Tracks.
This is the way.
Here are your hosts, Mark Newbold and Mark Mulcaster.
I know these people. They are brutal. Does this look Jedi to you?
That's not how the Force works.
They'll never see it coming.
Count me in.
Mr. Back!
You're listening to Making Tracks and a very special episode as we return to the halls of Olympia for our final coverage of London Film and Comic Con 2024. We sit down with droid performer Chris Bartlett, artist Impatient Potato, and catch up with the Make-A-Wish team on the ground at London Film and Comic Con. But first, it's our chat with Chris Bartlett on the second stage at London Film and Comic Con.
Hello. Thanks for coming, you guys.
More applause than this. It's Chris Bartlett. Come on.
Don't do that. Thank you.
There's loads to talk about.
Yeah.
But first things first, how are you enjoying the show?
Oh, this is the best. I've never been to the show. Even Friday was super busy for us. And I love seeing so many people in costume. This is a really great show.
You do many shows. Do you get around and do plenty of shows?
Yeah, all over the world. I was just in Bahrain last month, a couple months ago. But yeah, this is what we do in between filming.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to do. The real work that I love doing is acting, and so. But this is really fun to meet everyone who enjoy the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You started out like all of us started out as Star Wars fans.
Yes.
So you had a journey in that world before you ever got onto the screen.
Yeah,
Tell us a bit about that.
I was 7 years old in 1977 when I saw the first film. And that was probably the third movie I'd seen in the theater.
It was my third as well.
Yeah, right. And so it totally ignited my imagination. And there was no promise of another Star Wars after that. It was just Star Wars. There was no chapter name. So I'd go home and play with the action figures in my front yard, backyard, whatever, and make up stories with these fringe characters. And so it's kind of like what we're doing on Mandalorian.
Yeah.
You see characters that aren't Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, but they're fringe characters that may have their own stories, and those are fun to tell.
And when you go on this, you're a fan, and then the convention world begins, and we all start doing things like this.
Yeah.
But some people are good at writing, some people are good at singing, and some people are good at building things.
Oh, yeah.
And you built a costume. So how did that all begin? What gave you the genesis of doing that?
Well, 20 years ago, I started building costumes and going to conventions and suiting up and playing characters. And that was really kind of my acting school. I always had a dream of being in Star Wars, but no one really imagines that they're ever going to be in Star Wars or in a movie or in a show. And so suiting up in a costume was enough for me. I could play a stormtrooper, or I could play Boba Fett or C-3PO for fun, and then that was enough. And I'd been building costumes for about 6 years when Lucasfilm saw a video of me in a C-3PO costume, and they asked me to come up for a meeting in San Francisco, and then it turned out to be an audition. And
did you know this was an audition, or did you just think this was?
Well, it was kind of a meeting, and they wanted to talk about the suit, and they wanted me to bring it, and so what they do is what we did was they bolt me together, screw the ears on, and close up the head, and turn on the microphone, and flip on the eyes. And I say, oh, my goodness, why, hello, I am C-3PO, human cyborg relations. And they said, okay, you're going to go to Australia, and you're going to do this event. And that was the beginning of the last 18 years that I've been doing it. So every TV appearance of C-3PO
Yeah.
in the last 18 years has been me, and it all came from just doing this for fun. You know, this was enough, like I said, and that's why I always tell people, if you have something you really love doing, even if there's no career path, it brings joy to your life.
Yeah.
So do it, you know, and it's one of those things where it's no chore to learn more about it or practice more of it. If it's something you really love, you know, that's fun.
Yeah. Do you think when that audition came along, obviously Lucasfilm knew what they were looking for, and they saw that in you, but do you think that the fact that you'd built the costume, that you kind of knew the costume, gave you an extra leg up? Because it's one thing putting the costume on, it's another thing moving around in it.
The animation.
Exactly.
Right.
Giving that character, bringing it to life.
That's what they were looking for, is someone who could do the animation and the movement like C-3PO. I mean,
Yeah.
One of the number one questions I get is, does the suit make you move that way? And I said, then we wouldn't need auditions, you know. But no, all this is a performance.
Yeah.
You know, the way he stands and, you know, the way he moves, the way he's always, what? You know,
Taking it all in.
Snapshots, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, back in '77 when Anthony did it, or '76 really,
Yeah.
the suit was crafted out of steel. The pinch points, his arm couldn't move to a certain point. Technology moves forward to, let's say, Rise of Skywalker, and it's almost like putting a jacket on. It's not, but it's much
If
easier.
only it was like putting on a jacket.
Yeah, it's not as painful.
It's like putting on a car fender.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so as comfortable as that would be, but it's surprisingly similar to what the original suit was. There have been things that we've done that have updated for comfort and performance, but and for fabrication.
Yeah.
But it's very similar to the original.
And I assume, whatever the technology, however far back or recent you go, there's no getting away from the fact that you're screwed into the head, essentially, that your vision is impaired by the photoreceptors. You can only see so much.
Yeah, the vision is like putting your head in a salad bowl with 2 drinking straws sticking through. That's what the vision is like. You can see inside the head, and you don't want to focus on that very long because then you'll start to go crazy. So I just look through the little holes, and I see like, oh, there's R2-D2 over there, or I see Jon Favreau smiling at me, or a stormtrooper, and you know that's how you get through it.
Yeah, exactly. You say you've been doing it 18 years now. We'll come to the television, the live action television stuff in a minute, but you've done plenty of other appearances as C-3PO. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, all of the excuse me. The red carpet premieres, Hollywood premieres for the thank you, the Star Wars films. Every appearance on, you know, Jimmy Kimmel or David Letterman or Lego Masters or excuse me just a second. Let's see. Anytime that C-3PO or R2-D2 are making a guest appearance on a show on a network owned by Disney, is you know, that's where that happens. But you know, when you're doing live appearances, I'm also doing the voice. So if you're on the red carpet and you know, they're asking, C-3PO, look over here, look over to your right, you know, what? Oh, I see, yes, over here. You know, R2, come this way. You know, and so those are always fun.
And you've got to connect with, be it 3PO or any other, prior to your on-screen life, as a fan out there doing what these guys are doing, the Legion, the Garrisons are doing.
Yeah.
You've got to connect with that character. So as you say, regardless of what you're wearing, it's all about the performance, isn't it?
Right. Is your question about
any of it? You've got to click into that character. You've got to feel like C-3PO.
Sure.
You've got to feel like Boba Fett. It's a performance, whatever you do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that what's cool is I've played 20 characters now in Star Wars, and 18 of them are droids.
Yeah.
So I possess a particular set of skills. Yeah. Anyway. And it's cool. It's cool to. It's always a challenge, a fun challenge to receive the script and see the concept art of the character and, make up any extra story that helps you get to, that character. So I play bounty hunters or bartenders or teachers or protocol droid. And being able, whether they're brand new, shiny, or old and grimy, I love to come up with all the different, they're all droids, but they don't all move or have the same energy. Zero on The Mandalorian, for example, he's a cold killing machine, right?
Yeah.
Who's also an amazing pilot, and that even goes to the voice. When I'm on set, I'm coming up with a voice that I'm just coming with ideas, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying stuff. And that's really what a lot of acting is you're just trying stuff. And what I thought with Zero was they told me in the script he has a Cockney accent, right? That was it.
Okay.
So I didn't drink water all day, so I would have a dry throat. So I would say, despite recent modifications, your ship is still quite a mess. The fuel lines are leaking, the navigation is intermittent, and the hyperdrive is only operating at 67.3% efficiency. And so then later, when Richard Ayoade, the British comedian, dubbed over and did his take on it, it was very similar. And so I just felt like we were on the same wavelength. You know? But coming up, it's fun to play characters that are nothing like you.
And it makes sense because you've done 18 of those 20 were droids.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about the 2 that weren't, because obviously it's not a comfort place, because I'm guessing there's nothing comfortable about being in the suits particularly. But when you're taking what you do and moving them to these other characters, how was that for you? Did that feel organic? Did it feel, well, obviously it's organic, they're not robots, but you know what I mean. Did that feel okay? Was that a completely different experience for you?
I just look at them as different characters. So it all starts with what's in the script, what's the description, what's the concept art look like, what's the costume look like, and then you just come up with ideas. The ferryman, which is the very first character that I played in the first scene in Mandalorian, he was calling speeders over, remember, and Mando says, "No droids," which is funny because then I go on to play every droid. But I see the script, it's all in English, and so I just made up a voice, and I thought, oh, maybe he's sounds like a Soviet car salesman. So I said,
This is Speeder, brand new. We just arrived on the Spinwood freighter.
and Jon Favreau goes, oh, that's good. Let's cartoon it down a little bit. And then Dave says, maybe it would speak an alien language. That for a deep cut, this is a Kubaz species.
Yeah.
First seen in Star Wars: A New Hope, the Garindan character who is the spy for the stormtroopers, right? Yeah. And he sounds like that.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what they went with, which I think was right for that character, even though I wanted to do the voice, but I felt like that was more correct for that character. Yeah, alien voice.
And because you were early doors on Mandalorian, I've asked this of a couple of the guests over the weekend, you were one of the first ones to be on the volume. You were one of the first performers to work with that.
Yeah.
You mentioned limited vision. You're looking through straw holes.
Yeah.
It's hard enough anyway. There's bits of tape on the floor here. You must be so used to looking for your markers on the floor. But what's it like when you've got the slightly discombobulating background of the volume, which we don't see what you see when you're filming it. It's not quite the same. So how is it trying to navigate your way around that?
Well, the volume is this room of digital screens, and there's a ceiling of digital. It's like being surrounded by TVs, and they're all playing one gigantic show.
Yeah.
And it makes it really nice to not have to pretend what the environment is. Plus, the light from that environment is bouncing off of the costume, and it looks like it fits in that scene.
Yeah.
So, like when I played Zero, who was flying Mando's ship, we were the cockpit's practical, and that's real. And then we're in a room of a giant star field, and it just really feels like you're in space. I mean, you're in a cockpit with glass windshield, and there's stars everywhere, and then when I say jumping to hyperspace now, all the stars stretch to infinity like you see in the movies.
Yeah.
And there's no pretending. It's just I was in heaven as a 7-year-old.
I'm Corey D, and I get my Star Wars news from Fantha Tracks.
Being a fan and loving it, playing with the toys and growing up with it, and then into the cosplay world, if you like, as you did, how do you keep your cool when you're on that set? You're a professional. You've done it a while now, but early days, how did you keep yourself together and not just
gosh, it was
freak
just
out?
I was just like bubbling up to here with excitement of being in Star Wars because it's the dream come true.
Yeah.
And so you really try to just be cool.
Yeah.
Just I think the most acting I ever did was trying to pretend that I wasn't blowing up excited and just trying to be a bounty hunter who knows what he's doing.
It must help being a droid then, because they kind of keep a lid on their emotions to a degree, don't they?
Well, and also I'm wearing a mask, so inside, I'm like, okay, what are we doing next? But on the outside, I just look, the way I'm supposed to look. But when I'm, on set, say with Ewan McGregor,
Yeah.
he's playing Obi-Wan. I'm hunting him as One Jack, a droid that looks very much like Forlom from Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
In between takes, I'm doing all this character rehearsal where I've got my blasters out and I'm looking over, how do I want this to look? If I was a fan watching this, what would I want that to look like?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing is what I'd like to see as a fan.
And because you've played 20 characters now, and I'm sure there's more in the future, that you're always looking for that slightly different angle, because as a performer, you're going to want to delineate these things, but also as a professional, you're going to want to show there's all these different things you can present to a future director as well.
Right. I try to show I have some kind of range of acting, but my reel is just all droids, So I'm working on doing some more on camera where you can see my face roles. But you try and make them all feel very different so that, you don't want any two to seem the same. Okay. Because droids are like refrigerators. They look similar and everybody has one. They're maybe a little different. But just because you see one refrigerator at your house doesn't mean that's the exact that the one over at his house is the one from your house. So we run into that when we see droids in Mandalorian who are, oh my gosh, there's a white one. That white droid must be K-3PO from the Hoth planet who survived, and now he's in the Mandalorian. No, it's just another droid that looks familiar, and we want it to feel familiar.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, George always said they're like toasters, aren't they? Everyone's got. That's why Owen doesn't recognise 3PO when he comes back to the homestead in A New Hope. He owned him.
He could be any. Yeah.
He could be any other droid.
Any droid, right? Exactly.
You did Mandalorian, and then Book of Boba Fett comes along. Interesting characters in that as well. So how was it? Was it a very similar setup? Was it a lot of the same crew, I assume? Was it a similar thing? Did it feel like the next thing, or did it feel like something completely different?
Well, they all feel like, because I've been filming for like 5 years, as soon as you finish one show, you go on to the next one, which is, again, amazing.
Yeah.
But my first day on Book of Boba Fett, no episodes of Boba Fett had aired on Mandalorian yet, where we see, Boba hinted at. And so when you're an actor on these shows, you don't know the whole arc of everything, because you just know what you're filming and do your story, because security is tight and that's how it is. So when on the first day of filming on Book of Boba Fett, they said, all right, Chris, why don't you go down to set, just go down the stairs here. So I'm walking down the stairs, and I realize I'm walking into Jabba's palace, and Boba Fett is sitting on the throne. And I'm going, where are we? This is incredible. And then I talked to Ming Na Wen. Yeah. She was like, I need to make a phone call. We called Brendan Wayne, who is often in the suit for Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And where are you? We're filming today. And he goes, oh, this isn't my show. This is your show. And then I see Tamura Morrison take the helmet off And I'm like, what? This is great.
And you don't know this is coming.
No, I didn't know this was coming. And so we just had such a great time. It was a fun surprise. You know, you get to watch the show as a fan because you know so little of the entire production.
Yeah.
And so that's really nice too. I thought once I started filming, it was kind of ruin it for me as a fan, but it's not because I know almost nothing when I'm filming.
That's the best way sometimes, isn't
Yeah.
it? Can you detach yourself and watch it as a fan? I mean, you're not seeing your face, so at least that
Yeah.
doesn't pull you out, but you
Yeah.
know it's you. But
Yeah.
can you watch it and just enjoy the flow of it as a show?
Yeah, because like I said, you don't know everything. Plus, I don't know what I look like really, so I kind of want to see that.
Yeah.
You know, I think if it was my face, I wouldn't really have as much interest in watching it. But seeing a cool droid, you know, bounty hunter, that I want to see that as a fan. So I'm having a good time. Yeah.
And then you came back. Well, obviously you came back from Mando season 3, but then Ahsoka as well. So moving into a totally, literally another galaxy, and all these different things that are going on. And some of the same people and some of the different people again. What a great experience to be able to come back one more time. Well, not one more time, but again.
Right.
For
A
more
lot
characters.
of a lot of the people working on the shows are the same crew.
Yeah.
The only one that was different was Kenobi was a totally different crew. But Ahsoka, you know, Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian is all the
stuff.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the same crew. So it's like family. And it's not, it's like just a continuation.
And it must
Yeah.
be great because you've done it for so long now. You've developed, I guess, a shorthand. So the guys that need to know what you're
Yeah.
doing, you get it. Like you do anything you've got tenure with, it's kind of easier in that sense.
Yeah, when I first got on Mandalorian Season 1, I didn't have my own dresser. So I was sharing a dresser with stormtroopers and other creatures. And so when they are available, then they can come take my head off.
Yeah.
And so now I bring my own dresser to set. And back when I first started suiting up as C-3PO,
Yeah.
it took about an hour to put the whole suit on, maybe longer, especially if the person's brand new. But now that I use my friend who I've known for 20 years, he suits me up in about 20, 25 minutes and
Wow.
takes it off in about 5 minutes. So I can, and then I've rearranged some things on the suit so that it's quick release.
I was going to ask that,
Yeah.
because you know the suit.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing a suit that you would make for somewhere like here
Yeah.
is are there differences or particular differences to what you would have on a set, or is it reasonably the same?
No, if I was going to make one for this gentleman right here,
Yeah.
I would make it the same way I make it on the set.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
have you got any golden memories? I'm not leading into C-3PO questions. Have you got any great memories of being moments on set? You just mentioned that Boba Fett reveal. To
Right,
see that,
yeah,
not
yeah.
knowing that's coming, must have been
Yeah.
golden. But do you have any moments where you just, or moments when you just know you nailed it and you just walk away with that little sense of pride?
A moment when I think I've nailed it. I don't know. I'm always trying to do better, you know. Working with Carl Weathers, who sadly passed away in February, which was such a shock to our family. He was one of the greatest surprises about working with him was that he's a regular human being. In our minds, we see him as, you know, Apollo Creed, you know, and that's not how he is in his mind. When we're working together on a scene where I played Copper, his right-hand droid in Season 3, he would say, Chris, I want you to take off the mask and we'll rehearse this way so our characters have this emotional connection. And I thought, oh, man, that's so cool.
Was that a first? Had anybody ever asked that before? Or?
Well, nobody had before because people want to work with C-3PO. You know, they want to see those eyes shining and stuff. I was playing a different droid, but he was really serious. He's a director also. Yeah. And so that was really really special to work with him, and that was such a gift that he gave. And that's how he was. He was just let's work on a scene together instead of you do your thing, I'm going to do my thing.
And did that inform your performance in that sense then? Did that help you a tremendous amount?
Yeah, because I'm, no one can see it unless the mask is off, what my face is doing. But my face is doing all the emoting that I'm doing, you know, when I come in as Copper and say, sir, it's pirates. I'm really, exclaiming that, and you can see it on my face, and so he can see that too, and that's something that it's nice that other people can now appreciate it, because they can see my face, that I'm an actor who specializes in performing from within a suit, as opposed to, oh, you're just a suit performer. You're just a guy who fits in a suit.
Yeah. And I guess that's why you'd like to be able to do stuff outside of not instead of, but as well as outside of the suit, just to show more of what you can do, more of your range.
Oh, yeah.
Prosthetic work, maybe, other stuff.
Well, I mean, or just this.
Yeah.
I would love to play what we call it on camera, which is nothing blocking you from your face, from the camera. I would like to play more characters like that. So.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It's been fascinating talking about this. Really, really enjoyed it. What else have you got lined up for, not in your career, because I know you can't talk about future stuff, but what else is lined up? More convention appearances throughout the summer and any other good stuff happening, or even outside of the Star Wars galaxy?
Well, I have more conventions. They're in the States.
Yeah.
So it was really special to be able to come here to the UK to come to this convention, because it's just, we have these really pure moments with each other when we meet at the table or on the floor, where we kind of lose ourselves in the excitement of these shows and the magic of these characters. So I love that about these. But yeah, the other shows are over in the States throughout the rest of the year. But these, it has led to other roles on other shows.
Yeah.
There was one on the Orville. If any of you have watched the Orville, I had a real stretch in this character where I played a Kalon robot. Surprise. But then there was another one I played on a show called Shining Veil that where I played this character called the Creepy Goat.
Right.
But it was really Satan, and I was supposed to. The role is the villain of season 2 in the show called Shining Veil with Courtney Cox and Greg Kinnear. The job of this character, the aim of this character, was to forcibly impregnate Courtney Cox's character.
Okay.
And that was a really interesting meeting. They said, we know you from The Mandalorian. We would like you to come in for this role. And it was just they were like, it's a sensitive scene. There's several scenes, but there's one climactic scene where you do this. And I was like, oh gosh, wow, how am I going to approach this? I'm going from Disney to the devil, And so I call my good friend Marty Matulis upstairs, who's here today, as you do, because he's played a lot of creepy characters. And he had a great philosophy. He said, every story has a good guy, and every story has a bad guy. The job of the bad guy is to shine the light on the hero, right?
Yeah.
And that's the job. It's like going to work and driving a truck. Like, that's your job.
Yeah.
And so I approached it that way. And then there's other details that we had to figure out as well. But it was way less graphic than how they described it to me.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a goat costume. And everybody is clothed, so it's fine. But anyway, different roles. This has led to other things.
Variety is the spice of life, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
Well, when it comes to playing robots, you are definitely the goat.
Oh, my gosh. Well, thank you. The goat of the robot.
Had to get that in there.
Wow.
So, kind of a big round of applause for Chris.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
All right. Great job.
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video, and social media feeds, bookmark FanthaTracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
Make-A-Wish are always present at such events, and we took a moment to catch up with the team on the ground at London Film and Comic Con.
So we're here at London Film and Comic Con. It's Friday morning, it's all getting geared up. I'm here with the guys from Make-A-Wish. Introduce yourself so we know who you are.
I'm Hannah, I'm part of the experience team at Make-A-Wish.
I'm Chelsea, I'm also part of the experience team at Make-A-Wish.
Perfect. Hannah and Chelsea, there you go. I will forget because I'm terrible with names.
No.
I'm Mark. So, these kind of events, do you do many of these events usually? Is it something that you guys tend to do, or is this fairly unique?
This is very, very unique for us. I had the privilege of attending last year.
Right.
So when Dave dropped me a message, I jumped at the chance to come again. So yeah, it's been really exciting.
Oh, what about yourself?
Yeah, this is my first time at something like this, so very excited to do it with Make-A-Wish. Yeah.
What do you make of it? Because you've been before, so you kind of know. You've got Saturday to come, which goes a bit mental, so what are you expecting?
I've been before just as a fan,
Yeah.
so it's quite nice to come and actually get like the behind the scenes and see all like the work that goes into it to make it what it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
There's a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of work. Now, what are your hopes and expectations when you come to an event like this? Because obviously profile is important. You want people to know what you're about. I'm looking, this is a podcast, you can't see, but I'm looking at the table and there's balloons and there's pins and there's the bucket, obviously, where the loads and loads and loads of money goes in. So what's your hope and goal for when you come to an event like this?
It's to raise awareness and to let everyone know that their time helps grant wishes. Even if 2 minutes just chatting to us, if it makes that profound impact, then yeah.
And how much, somebody puts a pound in the bucket.
Yeah.
Everybody does that. Everybody makes their little contribution. Where does that go? How does that help? How does that all compile for people?
So it'll go straight into a centralised pot, which all wishes come out of.
Yeah.
So every penny that someone donates will grant a wish in the UK.
And that's direct straight to? Fantastic. Now, when a wish is granted, how does that work? What is the process? For people who don't know how these things work, we understand what a wish is, but how does that sort of process come to be?
So we have lots of our lovely wish makers who will chat to families, kind of figure out what it is that the child is interested in. We have quite a few different kinds of wishes. We've got 4. So kind of figuring out what it is, if it's a place they'd like to go, someone they'd like to meet, something they'd like to do. And then from there, our wish granters kind of take it, roll with it, and see what it is that they can do best for that child and the family.
That's brilliant. And being at a place like this, when there's Spider-Man walking past and Deadpool walking past and stormtroopers everywhere, I guess a lot of those wishes involve characters from this kind of place?
Yeah, and one of our recent wishes, one of our wish children was actually granted to be an extra as part of a new Star Wars Disney series, which is really exciting, which I think was granted by some of the connections that were made at an event like this.
That's fantastic. So one final thing before I let you guys carry on. What are you hoping to see at this event? I don't know what you're into, whether you've got a film that you like or a TV show. What would you love to walk past your table today or over the weekend?
I don't know, I feel like I'm in my complete element. I was brought up on Star Wars as a little girl, and my daughter loves it, my partner loves it, so I'm very much in my element, just being in Star Wars zone.
You've got a job of walking
I
past
know.
with a bucket, look at that.
I know. Don't see that every day.
No, you don't see that every day. It's meant to be. What about yourself?
Honestly, same. I'm loving this. Boba Fett, walk past, that would be incredible. But yeah, even just watching everyone walk past now, it's like every 2 minutes, you're like, wow, look who that is. So yeah, it's great.
That's fantastic. Thanks for your time, guys.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Finally, for our 2024 LFCC coverage, we catch up with Impatient Potato, appearing at London Film and Comic Con for the very first time. This was the very first panel on the Saturday morning on the second stage. So here's myself and Impatient Potato discussing her career so far.
Right, well here we are. It's the first panel on the second stage at London Film and Comic Con.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. This is my co-host Paul. Hello there. I'm Mark.
Hello.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Maddie, and I am the Impatient Potato.
That is the best name ever. Before we do anything else, I've got to know, where did that name come from?
So, I always make the joke of like looking or being like a potato. That's just, if I'm feeling a bit rough, I'm like, oh, I look like a potato today. And the impatient side of it is for my ADHD.
Yeah.
I got diagnosed at around 18, so it's been a big part of my life. And I just wanted it to be part of my brand, I'm quite impatient, so...
I love that. You don't look like a potato, but I think
the
name is very cool.
You don't look like a potato.
So, art-wise, what was your thought process going into this? You've got the table over there, people can see it all weekend.
Yes.
What was what was the logic of thinking, right, this is what I want to do? You were an artist as a kid, but how did it develop?
So I've always had art in my life. I've always been drawing since I was a kid, and I came to my first Comic-Con, I must have been about 14, and I remember walking around and just seeing all these artists and being like, I want to do that. I mean, not many people get to be able to, you know, have their passion and make a business out of it, so that is pretty cool. So yeah.
And not that many people get to be at London Film and Comic-Con.
They certainly do.
No, it's a big, massive opportunity to be able to be a guest artist in the Star Wars zone. So it's a little bit crazy, yeah.
So did you go to college? Did you do art at college?
No, I did it in secondary school, and I never wanted to go to college for it because I was very like, I didn't want to like be told what to do.
Yeah.
So I know with like when you go to school for it, they're like, you have to do this. And with me, I'm like, I just want to draw whatever's in my head. Whatever my brain has, just kind of put it on a bit of paper.
Yeah, and it's not just drawings that you do. I mean, you were showing us a fantastic K2SO in a dome.
That's kind of like a little side project that I hope to, well, a little side project. It took a long time, but my plan is to hopefully do that kind of stuff in the future to sell. So it's kind of just, I've just got him there to be like, hey, look, this is what I can do, and then hopefully in the future. But I'm just very creative, and I like doing stuff.
I'm fascinated by the development of your style. You say you didn't want to go to college because you didn't want to be told how to draw. I can't play hangman because I can't even draw stick figures. So that side of creativity is way beyond me. But is it the case that, I mean, obviously your art develops as you get older, you see more influences and such. How do you feel yours has developed to where you are now?
I mean, it's obviously from when I was like doing like little 5 sticks for fingers. Yeah. That's something. But I've slowly, I mean, anime and like cartoons and stuff like that has been a massive influence. Like things like Avatar: The Last Airbender, something I watched as a kid all the time, and then anime, just all sorts of anime and manga and all that. I was really into it, and it kind of helped me because I would be like, oh, I'm going to copy that, and slowly I've noticed like little bits of those kind of things has come into my style, and just sketching every day. I'm just kind of, I teach myself, you know, I used to watch little videos, but it's just like sketching and being like, oh, I like this, or
Do you have a favourite thing to actually draw? Is there anything that you particularly gravitate towards?
Faces. Because like I hate drawing hands. If anyone's an artist, like, you know, hands are just the worst to draw. So I stick to like faces and stuff, and I like drawing characters, but a lot of the time I end up just like drawing a person and then just being like, oh, it looks cool, like I don't know.
I'm curious though, you say your influence, every artist is influenced, the guys in the zone with you will see things that influence them. How soon do you, okay, when you see something that you think that's cool, I want to import that into my style, is it a conscious thing? Is it almost a subconscious? You sort of look back at your work and go, I can't remember where I got that from.
I think a lot of it is quite subconscious, like a really random little fact, like, but the ears, I noticed, I read this manga years ago, it's called D.N. Angel, and for some reason the ears that I draw look very similar to those ones, and I think that was just a little subconscious thing, so I think I see it, and in my head it just kind of like comes out, I don't know.
I just think it's interesting because some artists, you can tell, oh, that guy's influenced by whoever. Comic artists, you know, it's clear where their influence is. But with yourself, it sounds like you've just kind of soaked it up and it kind of works its way.
I guess it's just, I've just kind of taken things in and it just kind of comes out on a bit of paper, like,
So what got you into Star Wars? Was it something that Mum and Dad were already into?
My dad, definitely. I grew up watching the... I can't remember which one it was, like Phantom Menace. Especially, I remember that one with like the Queen Amidala. And then, just kind of, my dad's been a massive influence with that kind of nerdy side of stuff. And it kind of just always been in my life, really.
What was the first, can you even remember the first Star Wars thing you did?
I think it was the Phantom Menace. I think that was the first one.
Wow.
I mean, I watched it in the cinema in my mum's belly, so.
That's a very unique belly. That's the talent. That really is.
She had a little projector there and everything.
Stop commenting on the poor lady's belly.
Sorry. But so I remember watching it as a kid, and I don't know, it might have had a bit of influence. And I mean, I've kind of had that kind of nerdy culture in my life for a long time, and not till I grew up and became like my own person did it really get into my life.
No, totally. I mean, I can just about see your table from here. So there's all sorts of Star Wars stuff on it.
Yeah.
You've got a wonderful trio of characters from the special edition that you've done. Walk us through those. Give us a little bit of information about those.
The dancers? Yeah. So I don't know why. I mean, they're quite iconic, but I just remember those dancers. And when I found out I was going to come to here in the Star Wars zone, I was like, well, I need some Star Wars prints. And those were, I wanted to kind of focus on female characters. It's kind of drifted off into other ones, but I wanted to focus on that first because I like drawing females. And they were just quite iconic, and the whole like poster thing kind of just came up because I was like, just thought it'd be quite cool, quite interesting to just kind of make it look like, oh, it's a poster doing them. But yeah, so they were really tricky to do. I know Greta she's got a very unique face. So to try and make it look pretty, but also the same character was an interesting thing, but she was quite fun to draw with all the little scales and stuff.
Hello, this is Jay Manchand. I'm a Star Wars Tops artist, and you are listening to Fantha Tracks.
What plans have you got for the business? Where would you like to see it go?
Man, I'd like to see myself doing this mainly, and I've got a website, so hopefully some little order online stuff. I don't want to do too much. Like, I don't want to go full into it, just because I know what I'm like. I end up going like all guns a-blazing and then completely burn out. So I'm really, really trying this time to be like, just gradually do little bits. I mean, this is pretty intense for me, but we're getting there, yeah.
Totally. I mean, being into, we say geek culture, it's such a broad canvas to describe it as that, but if you want to use that as a phrase, I guess for you, I'm assuming you've always got your eye open for influences and things that you want to soak into your style or that you might want to draw, so you're never going to run out of ideas, are you?
No, I mean, I constantly watching tons of like cartoons and anime and stuff that is like, it kind of always comes in, I guess. I don't know what I was going to say then.
It's all good. So what are your hopes for the weekend? I mean, as you say, we've got some of the artwork there. That was a question. There's a couple of guests here.
Yes.
Marty and Natalia, that you've done drawings of their characters as well. What are your hopes for those people?
Well, I hope to just give it to them and be like, I drew a character, here you go. I mean, that would be cool. I mean, my hopes for this weekend, I don't have many expectations. The fact that I'm here, I mean, just for people to see my brand. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, I have to make this amount of money. Like, to me, I'm just like, if people even look at my art and go, oh, that's cool, I'd be like, yes. Like, I don't want like massive expectations. I just kind of enjoy the weekend and see where it takes me. Yeah.
That's such a good attitude, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, your artwork's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes, you love your Star Wars. Is there anything else, like, do you do Marvel, DC, for example?
I kind of mainly do like anime characters and stuff like that. A lot of them is just my brain. Stuff that I've done from my brain. Like, I got a lot of influence. Like, there's a Lord of the Rings series that I'm trying to get done with, like all the hobbits, like the dwarfs. I want to go like a little keyring set for them. So they'll have like plans in the future, but at the moment it's kind of just very simple. I've got a few prints that I already have. Some of them are just my style, and some of them are just like from shows and stuff that I've watched. But yeah.
I think your style would suit Lord of the Rings really well. Your style feels like it's in that wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So did you say this is your first show? This first time you've done this?
Yes, this is my... I did a very, very tiny little convention. It was just like very, very small. But this is the first time I've had my very own stall and been like, hey, this is my stuff, buy my stuff sort of thing. So it is very like... very intense, but it's fine.
I never asked, and I should have asked way earlier, the media that you use, is it pen and ink, is it pencil, is it computer, how do you do it?
I obviously started with like just traditional art, so like pencil and sketching and stuff, and I do canvas painting sometimes, but I moved to digital art, I can't remember how long ago now, maybe 5 years ago, about 5 years ago, and I love it because I'm such a perfectionist that with that I can just make tiny, tiny tweaks. And so I've just kind of just been teaching myself with that as well, and it's really helped to just broaden like what I can do. So with digital, I can just do one thing and then print it off tons and tons, and it's like,
And is that a constant learning curve? Because
I mean, when I first started it, I was like, this is so much, because I used to Procreate, which is a program on my iPad, and when I first started it, there was just so much. And I've just kind of gradually been teaching myself and then watching tiny little videos, because I'm very like, I don't want to sit and listen to someone drag on about how to use an app. So I was like, I'll just figure it out myself. And I'm still learning stuff about it now. So it is.
I've got to say, I mean, as somebody that also does creative stuff for a living, it is a nightmare learning to use these software packages.
You do creative stuff.
I know. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
No idea.
Yeah.
I mean, at the start, it was a nightmare, but it just takes patience, which I struggle with.
That's why I'm so surprised. I interviewed Russell Walks, who's the Star Wars artist, a while ago, and he's always worked in oils and paint and pen and ink and all that stuff. And so a commission back in the day, he could spend weeks, literally weeks on it. Now in the digital era,
it is crazy.
There's a pace to it, isn't there? There's a speed to it.
It is, and I think as well, like with the whole AI art going around as well.
I was just going to ask that. What are your thoughts on AI?
I don't think it should be used as like to sell, like completely AI, because obviously it is stealing art from tons and tons of creators. I think it's really cool program to like use if you just like want to add something or that, but I do think there is that fear as an artist who wants to sell stuff that AI is just gonna people can just be like, I can just make that on AI. So it is stuff like this is nice because you see it kind of you make you realize, like, you see all of these creative artists and it's like, actually, I can't do everything. So it is a little bit of a scary situation, but
I suppose if you can previs stuff using that as a tool to prep things, and that's just your thing, and you're working off that.
Exactly.
That's one thing,
it's like, I don't mind if you're using it personal, but to me, it will become an issue if it's like someone has a whole stall and it's all just AI stuff, and it's like.
Yeah, I think it's better to use it as like a mood board. That kind of idea.
Yeah. I think it's a crazy program. I think it's amazing that what it can do, but it's also there's that fear like, don't steal my job, please.
I get that.
I don't think that'll happen.
Well, the sort of stuff that we do. I mean, the work that you do, and I write for magazines and such, and the thought of AI coming in and having access to all the information, and if they can teach that to write in a half decent way, a lot of people suddenly.
It is. There is that fear of just being like, I can do that on AI, and it's like, no, you can't. But what's cool is it's like my brain is just like. People's brains are cool, so it's like, there's so much creativity around.
Yeah.
It's just getting it on a bit of paper and making it look good.
Now here's a question. Let's say the new Deadpool film comes out at the end of the month, and there's an awesome character in it that nobody's seen or nobody knows anything about, but by the end of the weekend, it's everywhere, it's trending, it's the coolest character in the whole wide world. How quickly could you take that character and turn something out to the quality of the work you've got on your stand this weekend?
I honestly think it depends, how much I like the character. I think if I don't get on with the character, if I'm not interested in what it looks like, I won't be able to I might be able to do a little sketch, but I don't think I'd get to a point where I can finish a print. So it does depend. I mean, you've got that, like you're saying, the popularity and trying to keep up with the trends. That's another thing. But I mean, if there was a cool character, I'd probably take. It really depends. I mean, I hyper focus. I could be there for 5 hours. 6 hours, and then it's like, done.
Yeah.
Where sometimes it's like I'm there doing it for a month and it's still not finished. So it really depends. I'm all over the place, to be honest.
And is that important that you like the character?
For me, I think to keep that focus to carry on doing the print and get it to a point where it's finished and I'm happy with it. I think I really have to have some kind of connection with that character,
Is there any artwork that you've done that you've been particularly proud of when it's finished?
Probably the Darth Vader in
Ahsoka. But particularly proud of.
Probably the Darth Vader and Ahsoka ones. I really, really like those ones, and I think most of the ones that I've done, there's not many that I'm like. If I don't like it, I probably won't be able to finish it. But I guess, the Darth Vader and Ahsoka ones I'm really proud of because I think they've come out really, really cool.
And apart from hands, which, yes, they are a pain to actually articulate, if you like. Is there anything that you go, oh no, I can't do that?
Backgrounds. I think one of them I have.
Just blur it out.
Yeah, there's literally like, I would love to be able to have like really cool backgrounds on them, but a lot of them, I mean, I probably like outed myself now. It's like, oh, I pick a nice colour shape and then it's done. Like,
now you focus on the thing that's in the foreground.
but yeah, so it is
cool.
like, I like drawing characters and stuff, but the backgrounds, I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. Because then I know I'll just get way too into the detail, and I zoom out and I'm like, I can't even tell what I've done. But yeah.
And when we started, you mentioned ADHD.
Yes.
So in what aspect does that either affect or help or with your art? How does that come into it?
I mean, I think my ADHD makes my brain pretty cool. It's I don't think I would have had half the creativity, and just there's so much stuff up here. Like it's a bit wild. But I think it has like pros and cons. I think the pros are definitely like I could just sit and completely hyper-focus on it and all that jazz. I think the cons are probably like the organisation side of stuff and getting overwhelmed with things. But my mum's been like a massive help.
Yeah.
So she kind of helps me with like organising and keeping like, yes, don't worry, like putting it out rather than looking at the massive picture, kind of making it smaller and be able to focus on that. But my ADHD is, it makes me very creative and fun.
Well, my stepdaughter was 18 when she was diagnosed.
Oh, same age.
And I think, and called Maddie as well. It's not you. No. But I think
things you learn.
That's crazy, man.
There was almost, well, I think there was a sense of relief that she got the diagnosis.
Massive, they call it like a grieving process. So it's probably taken me about 3 years to be at a place where I'm like, okay, this is me, but just like learning about my brain. And I think that's when my art was a massive thing, because it was just giving me that little relief that I needed from
escapism, wasn't it?
Exactly, like this. It was such a big, it's so hard to put it into words, but it was such a big thing. There was that massive like relief, and there was also, okay, now what? Like,
it was focusing on the things that you can do rather than the things that you felt that you couldn't.
Yeah, and that's what they call it, like a grieving process, where you just learn what your brain is, how your brain is, and if I was diagnosed when I was younger, could it have been different? And so again, art has been a massive like coping mechanism for me, and I think a lot of my random creative stuff, I just draw it and then I look back and I'm like, oh, that's kind of, you can tell like what I was thinking, but a lot of the time I'm just like draw and then the next one, like it doesn't,
So now you know where you are with that. You've got your team around, your mum and your dad, and that's all clearly working because you're here. So what are your hopes now moving forward? Obviously you want your art to constantly evolve, like any artist would. What are your hopes for how you take this forward?
My hopes for the business is to be able to kind of not 100% live off it. I mean, that's not very like... but it's also, I don't think I'd be able to cope just doing one thing. So my hopes are doing like a part-time job. So I work at Wagamama's waitressing.
Nice.
Love that job.
Yeah.
So my hopes are to do a little part-time that and part-time my business, and then I think that gives enough variety in my life that I'll be able to not get bored. And I guess with like artists and stuff, that's got a lot of variety anyway. So that is my plan.
That's a great point. Variety, totally.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I hope we have more conventions like this as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that will happen with time. I mean, like I say, I'm in a similar sort of field as yourself, but
you keep saying that.
Yeah, I try to, always promote. But you will suddenly pick up random jobs that will develop into something that you, even to begin with, you think, how.
I mean, like meeting people here, like you guys and stuff, and Dave as well. He's been a massive like.
Jamie's great. Yeah, he's a good.
Yeah. And then they've just been a massive part of it, and it's like there's such a nice community of like artists. Like we're all like rooting for each other, so it's so nice. And hopefully, I'll be here more often. But yeah.
Well, you're part of it now.
I'm part of it.
You're stuck with everybody now. We'll see you next year, hopefully.
Hopefully,
but you're here for the whole weekend, so if you get the chance, go and head over to the booth.
Come and check me out, yeah.
Check it out. But for now, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Email radio@fanthatracks.com. Head to links.fanthatracks.com for links to our social media feeds, Fantha Tracks TV and Fantha Tracks Radio. Thanks to James Semple for the Fantha Tracks intro, Blues Harvest for our Making Tracks opening music, and Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers. New episodes drop Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 o'clock UK time. Our weekly news show, Good Morning Tatooine, goes live Sundays at 9 o'clock UK time on Facebook and YouTube. And remember, Fantha Tracks is absolutely free, so it costs nothing to stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's Another episode of Making Tracks.